I'm getting to the bottom line every day. It's fine at the bottom line.
Come on now.
Hello. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, welcome back.
How you doing, Innovator?
I'm blessed. How about you, Bottom Line Betty?
I'm getting to the bottom line every day. It's fine at the bottom line.
Come on now.
Well, today we are doing a reactionary video.
Yes.
And in this video is going to invoke you to say, how dare they?
Yes.
The unmitigated gall.
Yes.
The audacity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about quite a few things. But before we go any further, I am Bottom Line Betty. I am here to get to the bottom line, to get to the point, because we don't have time for foolishness. Not in 2025.
That's
and
right.
I'm here with the magnificent.
Yes. Freeman Black Innovator coming at you.
All right. So we are reacting to some legislation that they're trying to get passed.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in the news as of late, we are all familiar with these three letters.
Yes.
DEI.
DEI.
There's a whole lot going on around DEI.
Mm-hmm.
They're acting like it's the worst word, the worst three letters in the word.
Yes.
Okay. And so DEI, we know that Walmart got rid of its DEI.
Yep.
And then they effed around and found out around Christmas because their stores were literally empty.
Right.
We know that Facebook has got rid of its DEI.
Right.
And we know Tesla and Twitter never had it. They never had it.
Right.
But many companies are getting rid of their DEI. Right. They're getting rid of it. Now, shout out to Costco.
Yes.
Costco holding on.
Yes.
Costco holding on. Y'all go shop at Costco.
Yes.
Costco holding on and they fighting the good fight.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
so one time for Costco.
That's right.
So we are here to talk about that again, the unmitigated gall. They have the nerve to try to pitch this legislation of what they're trying to do. And
Yes.
in this video we're reacting to, in the video is we have the wonderful Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, the wonderful Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, and Congressman Clay Higgins. Boo. Okay, that's not fair. That's not fair. We're going to clap for him too. No, let's do it one more again. Boo. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to give you the mic. Go ahead, bro.
All right. So first of all, DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we all know that it was part of the affirmative action to include and give diversity to minorities and particularly blacks who were being left out of the equal playing field, if you will, in college, jobs, and just, various facets of life.
Yeah, and there's an agency, there's actually a federal agency that's an actual department
that oversees
it.
Exactly.
And we all know that it's stemmed, DEI, we're just going to say DEI is the daughter or the son or the first cousin of the affirmative action. It all stemmed from there. Now, let's be real. All of this came about not to take jobs out of anybody else's hand, not to hurt anyone. But the reason why affirmative action was born is because folks wasn't doing the right thing.
Yes.
They was hiring everybody but people of color.
Yep.
And guess what? And we qualified.
Yes.
But they still was like, nah, we just want to keep it with our people.
We just wanted an equal playing field.
That's all we wanted. We didn't want it. We didn't ask for a head start.
We didn't need a handout. We just needed a hand up.
Although they've had 400, 500, 600 years of head starts.
That's right.
You understand? But we didn't ask for one. We just said, just give us a chance.
That's right.
And so because they refused to do the right thing, laws had to be put in place.
Exactly.
Hence affirmative action that happened in schools, and then also hence DEI.
Yes.
But when you hear on the video that Clay Higgins got the actual nerve to say it was forced down people's throats.
Yes, exactly.
How dare they?
Well,
take the mic.
Well, we're going to get right into this reaction, and then we're going to come out and we're going to respond appropriately. And then there's some things I want to point out historically. For you all know, I'm a history buff. I love talking about history and bringing things to current events and correlation to how it relates to history.
This bill, titled the Dismantling DEI Act, is an utter disgrace. Having sat and read the text in preparation for today's markup, I have yet another example to tell my constituents about the unserious work of the Republican Party. Now, I'll work with anyone serious about progress who wants to center the people who call this country home. This isn't it. The Committee on Oversight has the broadest jurisdiction in the entire House of Representatives to investigate any topic it chooses, but we are debating legislation that denies the sky is blue, water is wet, and racism is real. The major provision of the bill says to ban anything that acknowledges racism. And a few pages later in the exact same bill, there are multiple provisions discussing the presence of racism. This Republican approach is as predictable as it is nonsensical. On one hand, they're saying that racism does not exist. On the other hand, they are saying there is rampant reverse racism. Well, how do you reverse something that never existed in the first place? Riddle me that. While this Republican policy may have a new name, it's the same old tired game. Look, y'all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. Do you all know your history? Do you know American history? The original Constitution counted enslaved individuals as 3/5 of a person. During World War II, the federal government forcibly relocated and incarcerated 110,000 Japanese Americans. The FHA practiced redlining in the 1930s and 60s to deny mortgages to Black Americans, which is why we have a racial wealth gap today. I could go on. The GI Bill, which is supposed to be race neutral, denied access to Black Americans, denying them equal access to education and housing benefits, which is why we do not have generational wealth. Don't talk to me about merit when those Black servicemen fought for our freedoms. And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Yes. Your perversion of his words and his mission when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic Black man fighting for equality for Black Americans and all marginalized people. So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history. What I am, though, is committed. Committed to speaking truth to power, committed to standing up for marginalized communities and vulnerable people, committed to ensuring that everyone has equal opportunity to buy a house, to work a job, to pursue higher education, and to live in a society that is fair and just. A colleague across the aisle invoked the phrase of, we must do everything to stop government-sponsored oppression. Well, I've just enumerated numerous examples, which is exactly why we have legislation and an executive order to reverse this harm. And that is why I'm committed to opposing this bill and urge my colleagues to do the same.
So Freeman, talk to me.
Yeah, so this Dismantling DEI Act is a legislation that they're trying to push through as a bill, and it's full of hypocrisy and just, I don't know, false illusion about reality.
Okay, you're using real nice, kind words. It's full of lies and BS.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's get to the bottom line. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. I was trying to be nice.
I understand. Bottom line. It's full of lies and BS.
It's BS.
There we go. Okay.
Because as she points out, as Congressman
Ayanna
Pressley points out, that is the first hypocrisy is that it states that there is no longer racism.
Okay.
No more racism.
Okay, well, they've been pushing that lie for a minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in the same bill, it says in the first part that racism no longer exists.
Okay.
Except for the racism of the white race.
Okay, hold on.
White men.
Hold on, because I want to make sure that everyone understands what you're saying. So in this bill, in the first part of the bill, they make a very blunt statement saying that, yay, racism no longer exists. So America has cured racism.
Yes.
And then they turn right back around and say, like your grandmama used to say, then you're going to turn right around and say that however, racism only exists when it applies to being racist against the white man?
They've actually phrased the term reverse discrimination.
Well, how can there be reverse discrimination if discrimination don't exist?
Exactly. My point exactly. Then not to mention the fact that there's never been a history. There's never been any facts to prove that reverse discrimination is a thing.
It's not a thing. It's a lie. They make it up to push this narrative.
Exactly.
So basically, they're trying to control the narrative. Mm-hmm. So basically, we're going to get rid of DEI. Let's not forget the only reason why it exists is because we were so racist against anybody of color. Mm-hmm. If you weren't white, if you wasn't a man, or if you wasn't white, if you wasn't a woman, you wasn't good enough to do nothing. So we had to be forced by the law to do the right thing and give people opportunities by the law. Because that's the only reason why it went into effect. Yes. So they, and then these DEI programs, because again, it's a spawn of, it was a takeoff of affirmative action. Right. So it was other programs to make sure people had funding and winning grants opportunities and all of that. Right. So, it's a little bit more in depth, because they was giving grants to their cousins, all the other kind of stuff. Everybody but people of color.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody but people of different lifestyles. Everybody but disabled people.
Yes.
All this other kind of stuff. Because I want to make it clear, DEI is not just people of color.
Right.
It's a whole bunch of things inclusive in that.
Exactly.
However, we know the biggest bulk of it is people of color.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So go ahead.
And so DEI has become the new N-word.
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely.
The new N-word.
Yes.
You know, so whenever they talk about DEI, they particularly, it's not even, I say people of color, let's put black people. Let's just call it what it is.
I find it very interesting that anytime DEI is brought up, the narrative gets extremely specific that they talking about black folks.
People.
They're not talking about Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
They're not talking about Pacific Islanders.
Yeah.
They're not talking about
Asian,
Mexicans, Latina,
yeah.
Asians, Japanese. They're not talking about nobody else. Anytime you hear a MAGA or any Republican that's talking about the topic, because I don't want to put all Republicans in the same bowl as MAGA.
Majority.
But 95% of them.
Yeah.
But they are very specific, and they're looking at black folks.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Exactly. So that's this particular portion, but there are other elements of this particular bill that are going to highlight as we continue on, and we're going to discuss those as well. So we're going to play a portion, and then we're going to come back with our comments on the other side of this video.
Okay.
I appreciate my Democrat colleague for exemplifying exactly the kind of oppression of freedoms that we're referencing. How about we'll quote whoever we want to quote? How about that's my First Amendment right? That's exactly the kind of baked-in oppression. Like, how dare a white Republican quote Martin Luther King? We actually had a congressman say that just now in this committee. Well, thank you, good lady, for once again exemplifying the type of oppression that we stand against. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
Order. Mr. Higgins has the floor.
And we will quote who we please to quote.
A disgrace.
And we will continue to speak freely because I'm a veteran. That's the country that I serve. That's the Constitution I swore an allegiance to. And that oath has no expiration date. I will fight for it with my last life's blood. For my right to speak freely and yours, good lady. You will never hear me saying, how dare you quote anybody you please to quote. And that exemplifies, America, precisely the type of institutional oppression that my colleague, Mr. Cloud's bill, for which I'm an original co-sponsor, hopes to push back against.
But Mr. Higgins, have you read your own bill? Have you read your own bill?
Because
it is trying to regulate speech.
Clay Higgins really is the poster child for the sorts of people who talk about reverse racism.
You consistently said over and over the word oppression, and every time that you said it, it was almost as if I was hearing nails on a chalkboard, because it seems like you don't understand the definition of oppression, and I'd ask you to just refer to Google to help you out. Oppression is the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. That is the definition of oppression. And so as I sit here as a black woman who practiced civil rights, let me tell you the reason that my colleagues wanted to make sure you understood the same black history that your side of the aisle wants to delete out of classrooms is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We're not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed, that y'all are the ones that are being harmed, That's not the definition of oppression. You tell me the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment that you've had, and we can have a conversation.
You could start with Exodus.
The final thing that I will say on this particular issue, two things. There is an article from The Guardian, and it is a little old. It's from 2021, so I apologize. But it said that back then, just 3 years ago, white men represent 30% of the population, but 62% of office holders. These are the issues that we are constantly looking at and recognizing and trying to say, is this just? I can't even tell you how many white men have served in this chamber, but I can tell you that I am only the 55th black woman to be elected to Congress. And so when you want to talk about history and pretend as if it was so long ago, it wasn't. Because again, I am just number 55. Finally, when we start to talk about what do these numbers do as we're trying to say that diversity, equity, and inclusion is the problem, the reality is that when it comes to financial performance, companies with more diverse workforces are more likely to outperform their competitors. Companies in the top quartile for racial diversity are 35% more likely to outperform their peers on profitability. Companies with diverse executive teams are 25% more likely to generate greater profits. Diverse companies earn 2.5 times higher cash flow per employee. Diversity works. And until you can show me data that says otherwise, I think that we need to go back to being a country that listens to experts and gets out of our feelings and recognizes, again, that racism is real in this country. And until we stop pretending that it's not, we will not solve the problems that we are consistently facing. And that will bring real unity that we seek when we're looking for a more perfect union.
Bottom line, Betty.
Yes.
Have you ever in your life seen such foolery? This man,
Lord,
is claiming to be oppressed by the mere fact that she strongly requested that he not quote Martin Luther King.
Well, let me say this. Ever since Trump started running for office, a whole lot of celebrities and a whole lot of people was saying, you don't have permission to play our music.
Yeah.
You don't have, and they've been politely requesting to the point where a lot of people had to sue them because these people don't believe in listening to people's requests. But what I find extremely funny is they want everybody to adhere to what they ask.
Yeah.
They want everybody to do what they say. But these people don't respect people. They're not civil. They don't want to follow directives. And it's only their way or forget it.
That's right.
And then the minute you try to hold their feet to the fire, you wrong, you cold, you nasty, or you oppressing them.
Yes.
And I believe that he had the nerve, like I said earlier, the unmitigated gall, the audacity to, I heard that white man say that he had been oppressed. And I know I heard that white man say he'll use anybody's name he want to name. And the name we're referring to is Dr. King. Yeah. The literal King family told them to stop using Dr. King as an example because they are literally perverting what he was actually saying, what Dr. King stood for, what he was running for, but they want to take it and flip it.
Right.
So go ahead. Why was he lying about being oppressed? Because for the record, everybody, he lying.
He's straight up lying. But see, and I love how my girl, Jasmine.
I love her.
We need to get a bell or something every time we say her name or a horn or something, toot a horn, because she is standing on the front line. I mean, I'm sure. And then she's in Texas.
Let me say something. Every time Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett makes a statement, our ancestors get their wings. I believe it with all my heart. I believe she got that from me. I do.
We believe that.
I believe.
Well, and so coming from such an oppressed state like Texas,
oh my God,
and she's standing on the front lines. That's why we got to keep her in prayer.
Yes, Lord.
For all the opposition that's coming our way. But I love how she breaks down.
Well, she's an attorney.
Oh yeah. Not only attorney, she was a district attorney.
She's a district attorney.
Yes, a prosecutor.
Everything.
A federal prosecutor.
A federal prosecutor, and she's brilliant.
Yes.
And she is an orator with her words. She's brilliant.
And I love how she dismantles. Now consider, the pun.
I was going to say you're doing a play on words there, brother. I see where you're going, innovator. I see where you're going, innovator. They want to dismantle DEI, but she just dismantled this lying oppressed man. I got you.
Come on. So I love how she just take it apart and explains the meaning of oppression. Of the whole meaning, how you oppress, just by somebody requesting. Now this is the thing. She didn't pull a gun out.
No.
She didn't actually even try to pass a bill or anything to stop him from saying it.
No.
She just made a strong statement and saying you should not.
Well, actually what she tried to do is she tried to educate this man. But let me say this real quick before you get into this. These people are educated and they know exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
All these people are trying to do is flip the narrative. All these people are trying to do is say that left is right now, up is down, water is dry, and the blue sky is red.
Yes.
All they trying to do is what they do very well, and they do it very well.
Yes.
They lie. I am a firm believer that if a MAGA tell you they sleep, they wide awake. These people lie. They lie before they breathe.
Right.
They lie.
Look at their follower though.
I get it, but let me tell you something. Long before MAGA had a name, these people were liars.
Right.
These people have a history of liars. Let's go back to the woman that said Emmett Till whistled at her, and we saw what happened to Emmett Till. Again, that MAGA didn't exist then.
Right.
That just was a lying white woman.
Right.
These people tell lies.
But we're talking exclusively
about
MAGA because it is a different movement.
Well, she was MAGA.
Okay. Okay. But it was a different. Now it's a difference now because this is the resurgent, the reoccurrence.
They never left.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. But what I'm saying is, it's like Kool-Aid. You know, we make Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, I love Mr. Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I like the red.
Oh, I love. You know that's red. Red ain't a flavor.
In Chicago, it is. We call it diabetes.
Diabetes.
Because by the time you pour it like syrup. But anyway, when you make the Kool-Aid, the sugar settles at the bottom. And then what happens when you stir it up? It gets around and it starts saturating the actual mixture. It gets in the mixture. That's what's going on now. It was settled. But because you have this particular person who won the White House, now he's stirring it back up.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you. The reason why I'm a firm believer that, it was settled to a degree because it was certain people in office and it was not politically correct to be racist. It was not politically correct to be a pervert. It was not politically correct to be a pedophile. It was not politically correct to be hateful and spread hate. You would lose your job over that. You would lose your position. So like you said, it settled at the bottom, but it never went away.
Exactly.
It never went away.
Exactly.
So they had to just be quiet for a little bit.
Not no more.
But not no more.
Yes.
They actually, you actually get patted on the back to be a racist.
Exactly.
You actually win prizes to be a racist. Okay, so let's get back to Congressman Clay Higgins. He said what now?
He said that he was being oppressed because she requested that he not use the name Martin Luther King. So he claimed to be oppressed. But let me break this down. I mentioned about how I'm gonna tie this into history, right? This was something. The whole point behind their reason for oppressing us. The initial reason for oppressing us. Do you not know right after the Civil War, right after the Civil War, we started immediately gaining ground.
Oh yeah, we were
immediately
the wealthiest.
I mean, we were in Congress.
Yes.
We were having our own cities.
Yes.
It was almost like they let us out the gate.
Yes.
And we was catching up.
And we hit the ground running. And they were terrified and shocked that we caught up as quickly as we did.
Exactly.
But see, again, when you control the narrative, they thought slaves were captured and brought to America. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, innovators, entrepreneurs were captured and brought to America.
Yes, and that's
you understand? But in their mind, we was just slaves.
Right.
Exactly.
We were primitive.
We were primitive. We were uncivilized.
But so they had to do things in order to suppress us. True suppression. Not telling us what we couldn't say. They told us we couldn't read.
Oh, exactly.
They told us what we couldn't do. So then they formed the KKK and they formed a whole system to keep us oppressed.
Well, that's how the police start. That's how the police actually started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the thing about the word oppression, it has a true meaning and it's totally, completely far-fetched or completely void of any white oppression ever in history. So what they're doing now is they're trying to, with this DEI fight against DEI, is to go back to what they originally started.
Well, again, and they ain't gonna be happy till they do. Exactly. But let's break that down. Let's talk about in history. Who's been oppressed? White women have been oppressed at one point in their life.
Yeah.
They would actually have a right to say that. White women have been oppressed. Right. We know people of color, black men, black women, black children, Mexicans, everybody of other colors has been oppressed. But I can't think of one time in history where a white man was ever oppressed, unless he came out as gay. He came out as gay, and then he encountered a whole lot of discrimination and oppression.
Yes, exactly.
That's the only time I can think of where a white man was oppressed, but just a regular straight white man oppressed, the devil is a lie. That's a lie. All they've done was oppress people. They've been the oppressor. Mm-hmm. But they've never been oppressed. Exactly. So talk to me about this now.
And so that's why it's such a hypocrisy to say and use a term from the standpoint of her requesting him not to do it. I mean, even in the legislation, in the writing, they're saying the white man is oppressed. It's mind blowing.
Okay, so racism doesn't exist. Racism never existed. Racism don't exist anymore, but only except for now the white man has been. So how long has the white man been? How long have we been racist against white men? Because this is news to me. So how long have we been oppressing and being racist toward white men?
Well, if you let them tell it, the fact that we escaped from slavery when they was the one paid retribution, they was the one oppressed, starting from slavery.
I'm asking specifically about this. We're
talking about reparations, right? You not know that once we were free, they got paid reparations.
You know why that, right? Because the white man lost money.
Because he lost. That was a form of oppression on them.
Right, because he lost his free labor. No, I'm actually referring to this particular bill. Okay. I get what you're saying, but that's a different topic, and we can unpack that. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying to this particular bill, how long have they been oppressed? Since Obama was in office, since Biden and Harris brought in the DEI office, or is he specific? That's what I'm asking specifically with this bill.
If you were to look at, I guess it would go back to 1965 when the affirmative action, 1964 and 65, when affirmative action was implemented.
So since 1965.
Yes.
White men then.
I don't know. It's because I'm not in their mind. I can't think like they did.
But that's what you got out of it. That's what you get out of it.
Well, because they're saying they're going against DEI affirmative action, and it was actually implemented under LBJ in 64. So, and executed in 65. So therefore, I can only assume they can go back. They're saying since these bills was implemented that gave blacks and minorities equal rights, and that they're trying to reverse.
Okay, so let's talk. Just humor me for a moment. Let me get this out. So the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas, wouldn't even have had his job if it had not been for affirmative action. Or am I wrong? Yeah. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
He said it.
Comment below. Send me whatever. But he also voted against it.
Yeah, he said it. Well, there's nothing new about the field and the House. You know what I'm saying? We know about that. So what they do, they cuff a few of us and get us, under the umbrella of their belief, their philosophy.
Yeah, cool.
So that's
cool. Yeah. Okay. So, but also in this video that we did not go over, and I know our time is wrapping up, but they were talking about actually punishing the people that worked in the DEI department. Yes. Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yes. There is a department that deals with diversity, equity, inclusion in the government, and they're talking about they have to go through certain legislation to eliminate them, but they want to punish the people who work there.
Punish them how?
By not allowing them to advance, not allowing them to relocate. They want the office of the DEI
to be dismantled.
To die with implode by not having the advantage of other departments.
Okay, so let me again, bottom line, let's break it down, let's make it easy. So all of a sudden, if Burger King took over and Burger King was allowed to get rid of all the other food chains, they could get rid of Arby's, McDonald's, Checkers, all that, and everything became Burger King.
Right.
So just because you worked at McDonald's and Arby's and all that and didn't work at Burger King, they could basically say you can't be, you can come work for Burger King, but you can't be no manager.
You can't be no manager, you can be promoted.
Is that a good enough example?
No, truth be told, it's saying you can't work for Burger King. According to the bill, it's saying you can't be transferred.
Wow.
You can't be promoted. You can't be recommended. So it's basically, they're trying to stifle it and let it die.
I think I understand. So if they are successful in dismantling the DEI all over the world, that then the domino effect is they will also be successful is everybody that worked in the DEI department, everybody that worked in that agency, they can't be transferred. They can't get another job anywhere else. So basically they're going to lose their job.
Right.
So that's discrimination.
Exactly.
So you create a bill to
cause discrimination.
So wait a minute. You created a bill that said racism didn't exist, only except for racism against the white man.
Yes.
And then within the same bill, you're discriminating against a federal employee who works for a federal agent who's supposed to be protected.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
So I know I said earlier, the unmitigated gall, the audacity. Listen, folks, our time is up on the podcast. Thank you so much. This was a great video. If you guys want us to react to more things like this, shoot us a comment, send us an email, suggest some videos. We'd love to hear what you think. Whether you agree or disagree, we welcome it. This is Bottom Line Betty, and I got to the bottom line, and I'm just going to tell y'all right now, Freeman would not let me cuss. Because I wanted to on this one. But I'm glad you didn't let me. I'm glad you let me stay right.
Hallelujah.
And it didn't mess with our sponsors.
Thank you for joining us. We look forward to you on the next video.
Innovator.
Yes.
It's good seeing you again.
You too.
Don't go around. You better stop oppressing them white men. Don't do that no more.
I'll do my best.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. God bless now.
Okay. Bye-bye.